Welcome back to Work Stress Goodbye. Today's guest is Aoife Leggett. Aoife is a high performance coach based in Ireland and the founder of 360 Coaching. She's an internationally accredited coach with a background in sport and performance psychology, breathwork, performance nutrition, and personal training. She also comes from an equestrian background, which has given her a real lived understanding of performance under pressure, something that clearly shows up in the way she works with clients today. Through her work, Aoife supports individuals, from professionals to athletes, in navigating stress, improving performance, and finding more clarity and resilience in both their work and personal lives. What I really like about Aoife's approach is that beyond all the performance tools and training, she's genuinely interested in helping people understand their mindset and where their experience is really coming from, which I know we're going to explore today. Aoife, it's great to have you on. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. And thank you for the lovely intro. I appreciate
Now,
that.
when I was writing it, I did smile because I was thinking, wow, what a list. So I think the best way to kickstart this recording is if you could take me and the listeners back, take us back on a journey from when you were younger and first started to discover your love for horses, and take us on that journey from that point to now, so we can get an idea of why you are the person you are today.
Yeah, I'd love to. Yeah, so when I was younger, like I don't come from a horsey family, which sometimes people in the sport would, they would have been on horses or ponies since they were like, three or before they could walk. I always had an interest in them though. Like if we were away with family or there was horses in a field on the side of the road, I'd be like, oh, pull in so I can pet the horses. So always was kind of naturally drawn to them and loved animals as well. Like I love dogs and stuff like that. And then my cousin had a horse when I was younger, and she was really nice. She used to be like, "Oh, do you want to come to the show?" So I'd kind of tag along with her like a fangirl. And yeah, when I was maybe 9, I started riding at like a local riding school. And yeah, I just loved it. I remember being like, "Oh, I want to be like a sponge. I want to soak up as much information as I can." And then at that riding school, what we did was on the weekends you could help out like for a Saturday, and then you would get I think it was every 2 or 3 weeks you'd get a lesson. Like all the helpers would get a lesson. So that was an amazing kind of childhood, I suppose, to have. Like, me and two of my old friends, we would all work together, and then we'd stay at one person's house, and then the next weekend we'd stay at the other person's house, and then my house, and then we'd have a weekend off. Well, actually in the summer we'd just stay at each other's house, like, every night. So it was almost like a fairy tale kind of childhood, but also hard work. Like they expected a high standard of work from you. You were working, from maybe, I can't remember, was it like 8 till 5 or something, which when you're a kid, you're like, I'm tired, I don't want to sweep the yard. But I liked that, and I always just felt like I was like, I really want to, do the stables or clean the yard better than it's ever been cleaned before. So I kind of always had a little bit of a drive, probably a bit of competitive nature as well, in me. And then always like the dream was to have my own horse. And when my grandmother passed away, she left some money to my mum, and my mum said, "Look, we'll use that money to buy you a horse." So I was very grateful and lucky to be able to have that experience, and bought a horse, and started doing some eventing, which is where you do dressage, cross country, and show jumping all, in the one kind of discipline. It's almost like triathlons for horses. Yeah, and then just again loved that, loved the training. Like it really taught me how to balance, like, schoolwork. I remember doing my leaving cert exams, which is like our final year exams, and I was like, right, how do I get to my horse, exercise my horse, and get my study done, and manage all that. So I think I learned a lot in terms of discipline and time management there. Um, could have done probably with a few more coping strategies for stress. I think I was like a little bit of a, especially at the shows, you'd be with my parents didn't know anything about horses, so I'd be like, oh, pass me this, and they'd pass me the wrong thing. I'm like, no, I didn't mean that, the other thing. But yeah, so was really lucky to compete and get a taste for like international competition, made some amazing friends that I still have. And then sold my junior horse, and was kind of in college working, and friends of mine that I had always worked for during the holidays, they'd kind of help me out to bring my horse down. They'd help me train a little bit, and I'd work for them. They had started kind of becoming really well known in terms of selling horses in Ireland, and they used to ask me to come and cover. And then they said, look, will you kind of come and work for us a little bit more? We have a new rider coming on board. It's going to be a more professional organization. So I did. And then after college, I sort of fell into a job there a little bit by mistake. I was like, oh, I'll just do this for a while. I really like it. I'm not really sure what I want to do in college. But I suppose actually college was the first time when I was like, I don't know what I want to do. But then I was like, oh, maybe I'll do social science. Like I'm really interested in people and how they operate and society and all those things. So I think that was my first inkling of being like, people is where your interest lies, you know? So did that. Afterwards was working for Georgie and Richard at Cooley Farm, full time. Did that for maybe, I can't remember if it was 4 or 6 years, and then loved that job and really like loved seeing the team expand. And we'd have a lot of clients fly in from America and Europe and across the continent to buy Irish horses, and then they would ship them to whatever country they were from. But Ireland's really well known for its good horses. And I just felt in that job, I was like, okay, I'm sort of at the end of my road here in terms of learning and developing, and I don't see myself here for another 4 years. So I went off to Canada to do a ski season. Long story short, I broke my leg and tore all the ligaments in my knee and like just before New Year's. So had to rehab that. Thought I'd be able to rehab it out there, but actually was kind of quite a complicated injury. So I had to come home. That kind of rehab process taught me a lot about, resilience, actually exercise and how to exercise properly to strengthen yourself. So that was kind of another point where I was like, this is really hard. I find it really interesting. And then I went to do some corporate work. Again, got to that point where I was like, this isn't the right place for me. I feel like I need to be back closer working with people. And that was when I went to a coach myself, and we were just talking through where the kind of highlights in my career had been, what points did I really enjoy. And it was always working very closely with people and showing them that they could achieve maybe more than they thought, or giving them, helping them find the confidence to perform really well, whether that was, as a rider or somebody who was working in the support team. So yeah, I just slowly started to be like, right, well, where could I start? PT was actually the kind of first thing that I did. And my business, I suppose, gives it away, like 360 coaching. I wanted to have like a holistic approach to helping people. So I did the PT, I did the nutrition course, then I did the coaching course. And then after that, I continued on, studied sport and performance psychology and 5 levels of breathwork training. So I'm now a master breathwork teacher. So it kind of it was like sort of evolved one after the other. Now I don't really do any PTing, but I like having that like knowledge. I don't do any at all really. Um, and yeah, most of my coaching now is online with international clients. Pretty much all riders. I do have some other sports people. I've had some musicians as well. And I just use the kind of knowledge that I have from those kind of courses and the education that I have to help people perform better, manage stress, and enjoy their life. So my favorite thing is when people are like, "Oh, I'm happy, I'm enjoying the process again. I'm excited to ride, to go in the ring. I feel more confident, not just on the horses, but also in everyday life." So yeah, long story short, that's how I got here.
Oh, brilliant, brilliant. Thank you for sharing that. And I found it interesting what you said about the leg break, making you more resilient. Isn't it funny that pain, whether that be physical or emotional, is the fertilizer for growth with people, and yet it's something we all try to avoid, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah, I remember it really clearly because we'd gone up skiing, and it was like a lovely, there'd been loads of snow the night before, and we lived with a lot of really good skiers and snowboarders. So we were always kind of like at our level limit when we were out with them. So we'd been skiing all morning, and then I said, "Oh, I'm going to go down now. I'm getting a little tired." And somebody went by with they kind of ski you down in almost like body bags in the back, and I was like, "Oh my God, imagine being one of them. That would be terrible." And then literally like half an hour later, I was like, "Oh no, I'm in the body bag." But yeah, I went to the hospital, and then when I got back, my friend Katie came, and she was like, I know at the moment it feels really bad, but I'm telling you now, there's a reason that this happened. Like there'll be something. And I was like, I know, I just can't see it yet. But really like that whole process taught me a lot in terms of, feeling really low and being like, you have to find a way to sort yourself out in terms of getting your fitness back, getting your strength back. Nobody's going to come and do these exercises for you to help you be able to straighten your leg again or get that strength back. And I think the horses actually really taught me a lot in terms of being able to manage swelling and stuff. Like when you work with top level horses, just like athletes, you have to manage your ligaments, your tendons, your bones, and a lot of that is managing swelling and load on the joints. So I kind of was like, right, if I was a horse, what would I do now? And I was like, okay, I'll try that on myself. And I suppose just biomechanically as well, like understanding the body and how it feels after an injury and how it feels to come back was really eye-opening, I suppose, for me. So yeah, my friend was right. And I kind of, you always know it, like when you're in the midst of something that you're like, this is terrible. You're like, I know I'll learn something from it, but you have to leave a little bit of time and space, I think, to look back and then be like, okay, yeah, that happened for a reason, or I can take something from that.
Absolutely, absolutely. And you've got a very impressive background when it comes to horses. What has what have horses taught you in terms of your? I think you kind of touched on it a minute or so ago. What have horses taught you about your mindset today that people in the workplace could learn from as well? Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah. So I suppose horses are like very sensitive creatures a lot of the time. The high performance ones will be quite sensitive, a lot of them. So like managing them is part of the whole challenge of it, and that's what I actually really loved about working with them was that like not none of them are the same. Some of them are more highly strung, some of them are a little bit lazier, some of them, need a lot of care, some of them like to be left alone. But I suppose like the way that we would manage them would be like really consistent in terms of their meal times, like breakfast, lunch, dinner at the same time as much as possible. They get good quality food. Like I always remember the horses when they would arrive into the yard, some of the feed you can buy is a little cheaper. So a lot of people around the country that maybe didn't have the same resources that a big yard would buy slightly cheaper feed. And you would feed them for like 2 weeks on this premium feed. And like within 2 weeks, you'd see their coat completely change to from like looking dull and dusty to being shiny. Their eyes would suddenly get a spark in them. So that's kind of like the basis in terms of like, feeding them the right stuff. So same with us, like feed yourself good food that's going to give you the nutrients that you need to perform. Then when they were not training, we would try and give them downtime. So they would go out in the field to relax, to enjoy, to like let their head go down to the ground and eat food. So their back muscles would stretch out, they would unwind, they would be like normal horses for that period of time. And then when they're working, keeping their work varied in terms of, they might do a jump session one day, they might be riding on the flat another day, they might be going for a hack one day, which is like, going for a hike or something. But the hard work and the intensity was mixed with downtime time where there was nobody in the yard. Say like, after 6 p.m., the yard is lights off, the horses can just relax, enjoy, lie down in their stables and recover. So I think when it comes to work, and people in the workplace, it's like, yeah, work hard, but balance that with something that allows your body to recover and your nervous system to recover. And that, I suppose, is it. It's like, are you in fight or flight the whole time? Like, do you jump every time your phone bings? Like, every time you hear a noise, every time you see an email? And we all do it because everything is now notifications all the time. So try and have a hobby or a way to de-stress and unwind so that literally like your brain can recover. And like we know that from science that your brain needs time to like almost like a computer, like take in all the information, save it and reboot. And if we're constantly on and doing nothing that allows that space, then we'll be like a horse that's overworked, which can't perform to the best of their ability.
Yeah, stay with horses. We've got quite a few horses around the area where I live, and when I'm driving around the area, I love just going down to 2 mile an hour because I obviously have a lot of respect for horses, a lot of respect for the riders, and I don't even care if there's someone behind me getting annoyed by it. I just really slow down. I really admire the horses, and
Yeah.
yeah, there's not everyone does that. A lot of people speed up, and then it
Yeah,
shakes the horse.
dangerous thing
So
to do.
very
Very
dangerous
dangerous.
thing to do, very stupid thing to
Yeah.
do. So,
Yeah.
um, have you noticed what changes when people stop trying to manage stress and just try and understand what's going on instead, like the nervous system that you've just described?
Yeah, I think like sometimes there's a narrative that like you need to get rid of stress and you need to not be stressed and like that's not reality, like there's stress in everybody's life at some degree. So learning that like it is normal and it's not something that you're going to get rid of, but learning ways to be able to balance yourself out so that, when you come home in the evening, you don't answer emails or you're not online looking at videos and you maybe leave your phone in the car or just ways for you to switch off. So um yeah, I think that's important. Um if that's a answer to your
Yeah,
question.
that's lovely. Wait a minute a second. Have you had moments yourself where you might have touched on it before when you had your leg break, but maybe another example you could give where life has felt quite overwhelming for you and how it shifted for you with understanding?
Yeah, definitely loads of those moments. So I suppose left my when I left my kind of corporate work that I was doing, I was working as an operations manager for a hospitality company that were expanding. And I knew in the role that like it wasn't for me. I was like, I'm not feeling like I have the motivation and like I'm quite a passionate person. I have loads of energy. I was like, it's just not doing it for me anymore. And I kind of was like, actually, I don't know what I'm going to do next, but I can't do this anymore. And I kind of thought I was going to go into medical device sales. And I'll never forget sitting in like a second round interview. And they were like, where do you see yourself in 5 years? And in my head, it was like, not here. It was like a monkey was backpedaling on a bike, being like, no, no, if this is not it, you don't need to end up in another job that you don't love. So at that moment I was really lost, and lots of my friends have great careers, you're making a lot of money, they're buying houses. And I just was like, I don't even know what I want to do. I was like, I feel like a loser who doesn't have anything going on. But I knew I was like, I trust that with the right role and with the right job, I'll feel aligned and like I'll know it was for me. Like I felt in all the other jobs, I almost had a little voice being like, this isn't the right place for you, and you know it. Like you're not shouting from the rooftops that you love your work or that you're happy and you don't feel aligned. Like I remember saying it to a friend of mine who was feeling the same way. I was like, now I really feel like aligned. I'm happy in my work. I love coming back to work after holiday. I get a buzz off all of my clients. So yeah, definitely that was a low point, but I think I just was like, I don't need to have all the answers right now. I just need to take some sort of action. And that's what I say to some people that come to me. Some people don't have goals that they have set goals. They come there like, I just feel a bit lost or I just don't really know where to go. And it's like, that's okay too. You just will figure out what one little step is, and then from there you'll start to go. And I love that quote. I think it's Rumi or somebody was like, as you start to walk along the path, the way appears. And it's true in lots of things in life. Just do something small rather than being overwhelmed by everything. So yeah, that and within my own company as well, like getting set up and getting going and really finding my niche. And anything that you do that is new, especially when you're older, you're like, oh my God, I feel like a total beginner again. And I now teach on the coaching course that I learned on. And I say to them all the time, like when I started out, I found it really hard to be totally new at something. And it was like coaching is quite interesting because most people get into it because they love helping people and they want to be the person that people come to. But actually, when you coach somebody correctly and in the right way, like it's not about you, your opinions, or giving them advice. It's about you being a way for them to figure out what they need by just asking them the right questions and giving them that time and space. And there's loads of people in everyone's life that say, oh, you know what you should do? You should do this. Or let me tell you what I would do. And like that's most of the time not what people want. They want space to get the thoughts out of their own head and figure out what it is. And for me, you know, coaching was probably locked away in the back of my head, an idea that I'd had and thought, no, sure, I couldn't do that. And it was the coach that allowed me to get that out. Her name is Ariana. We actually work together now. Um, that allowed me to have that, take that dream back out. So, um, yeah, I think that um, that was another point was just having that space to do that. So yeah, I teach on that course. So that's like a full circle moment. But yeah, finding my niche, building my business. There's been lots of times where I've thought like at the start, am I doing the right thing here? But just persistence and like having that gut feeling that no, this is the right thing to do. And I had lots of, you know, client calls. I was only thinking them today that I was like, come off the phone or like the call buzzing and be like, yeah, this is it. It's hard at the moment because I'm trying to get things up and running, but I know that this is what I'm meant to do. So yeah, lots of those points along the way. And I say that to clients too when they start to feel like they're building and they're soaring and they're like, I just don't want anything to go wrong. I'm like, things will go wrong. That is life, but now you have tools and strategies and ways to pick yourself back up and go again. So yeah, there's always points of like that.
I'm a firm believer in that too, doing and getting out of your own head as well. Because if I was in my own head too much, I wouldn't be having this conversation with you right now. It's the doing that gets
Yeah,
you there.
yeah.
And you must have, which I said in the introduction, you must have professionals and athletes come to you. I guess what I'm trying to ask is your approach the same with both sorts of people? Because what I would do as a coach is talk to each individual, whether an athlete or a professional corporate person, and kind of just say what I said, kind of let the thinking drop, and the answer will come to you. If you're in your head all the time and getting all into that, the answer won't come to you. But just let it relax, and the answer will come. And I guess from what I'm trying to say is that works for me for both as a sports person and a court person. Just interested if you've got the same experiences.
Yeah, like I think I find the people, like you said, overthink things, but in their head. So they're like,
Yeah,
and I've done it myself. I'm like, oh, I've been over that hundreds of times in my head. I'm like, it feels different when you speak it out into the world. And also, like when you hear it out, and then when maybe a coach repeats it back to you, you're like, oh, actually, that's not as big of a deal. Or, oh, actually, I have the answer now straight away just because it's been spoken out loud, you know? So less kind of in your head thinking, more kind of speaking to a coach or somebody or out loud, I think sometimes just allows the penny to drop or for you to be like, actually, that's not what I want. Or no, the first thing that I said is definitely what I want. Or do you know what? I have the answer straight away now. So yeah, I think you're right. Less kind of insular thinking where you're in your head going over the same thing or the same scenario over and over again is what most of them need. And just a space as well, like I often say to people, the riders that I work with, like they have support teams, they have, people that work with them, they have owners, they often have parents, they have like coaches on the ground, but it's like almost they just need to step out of that bubble and be able to speak to somebody else who gets what they're going through and gets the industry, but isn't the same person that they see every day and is able to help them gain a little bit of a different perspective. And the same in the workplace, oftentimes you know, people that come to me, they might have coaches provided to them in work, but they're like, I actually don't want to go to a coach in work because I feel like I just want to be doing it on my own
yeah,
externally and not feel like it's all connected because that again maybe sometimes makes people feel like they're still stuck in work mode or their ideas are maybe more contained in terms of the way the company operates and stuff. So yeah, I think in general everybody needs a little bit of space to as you said like be able to take more action and the first step is to be able to talk but also like I do it myself. I'm sure you do it too. It's like I know all the things I should do. Sometimes I just need to have an hour booked into my calendar where I have to speak to somebody and think about it and then get the actions and I'll actually do it. And that sometimes, especially with busy professionals like a lot of the listeners you have, it's like if it's not in the diary and it doesn't have somebody else involved to hold you accountable, it's probably not going to happen. Like you could go years with your head in the sand, being like, I really
absolutely.
want to change that, or I'd like to do this, and it never happens because you don't actually get somebody else to help you do it.
For anyone who's going to listen to this recording and feeling quite overwhelmed about work stress or anything for that matter, it doesn't have to just be work stress. What would you advise them to do to kind of get over that and kind of look beyond it to thrive more?
Yeah, so for me, I think everybody has like their own sort of recipe for success in terms of dealing with stress. But when I talk, like do a lot of corporate talks on stress, like I'll talk through what stress is, like, the natural instinct that we have in terms of being cavemen and women. And then I'll talk about things that help alleviate stress. So one that I use with all of my clients is breath work. It's really simple, really effective. It's free to do. You can do it anywhere. You don't need anything with you. You can do it before a board meeting. You can do it on the bus. You can do it on the train. So that's something that I often will, help my clients learn, and I encourage anybody to learn to do. And like I always say, my mum, when I was younger, she'd always be like, "Oh, just take a few deep breaths," and I was like, "I don't know what you mean by that." So really being intentional about being like, okay, how do I learn a few different techniques? And people love box breathing, and that might work for them. But having something that when you're like stressed about a deadline or about a big event coming up, that you can be like, okay, let me prepare my own internal state or change how I feel internally through breath work. So that's something that I encourage people to learn, but for everybody it's not maybe the right thing. Some people might be like, it really works for me to go for a run every day after work, even 5 minutes to clear my head. Or, for me, I really enjoy crafting or art or just something to be able to unwind, I suppose. Like creating your own thing. Like for me, I know I need to be out in nature and have a certain amount of fresh air and exercise. So any kind of weekends that I'm not working, I try to make sure I either go on my own or get somebody to come with me, and I'm out in the mountains, no phone, nobody speaking to me, with my dog, just having a great time. Like I like to go to the gym first thing in the mornings. It gives me energy. It helps me just give myself something before I do that. So yeah, I always encourage people. I'm like, what works for you? How do you have a bit of fun in your life so that everything doesn't feel so heavy and stressful? And how do you make sure that's kind of sprinkled across your week, not just on the weekends? And that might be going back to five-a-side with your friends on a Thursday evening. But yeah, stress makes everything feel very heavy and overwhelming. So finding a release for some of that stress and then being like, right, what can I do? Like being proactive and taking control of it rather than letting it like swallow you up kind of is what I would say.
Excellent, great answer. And this might stumble you. What makes a great life, Aoife?
Um, Yeah, I think I spend a lot of time thinking about that, which is why I think I really love my life. So I think again, it's different for everybody, but for me, it is being surrounded by great family and friends. I've got an amazing family. We're all very close. We go to my parents every Sunday for Sunday dinner. There's about 14 of us now at this stage, with my sisters have a good few kids between them, and my partner would come. So that great friends that I've had since school. We're all very close still. Don't maybe get to see them as much as we would have, but every morning I go to the gym with my best friend. That's one of my highlights of my day every day. At least once or twice a week we go swimming in the sea with another friend of ours, which is
Oh,
just
wow.
like exhilarating but amazing. You get to see the sunrise, and for me, that is a really nice way to like face winter and like see the seasons changing and be really aware of, okay, we're swimming in the dark now, we're in the winter. Okay, we get to see the sunrise. Like I always love September has beautiful sunrises around 7 a.m., which is when we go, which is amazing. Yeah, lots of nature, hiking, being healthy and fit and doing a job that you love, which, I'm so happy to say that I do now. Like I love my work. So yeah, for me, that's what makes it a great life. For everybody, I think it's different, but I think you have to stop and think about it to make sure that you are living a life that is great on your terms. Otherwise, you might turn around one day and be like, where did all the time go? All I did was work, wake up, go back to work, sleep, and don't want to.
A life by design, as they say.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
And I think I saw something before and it was like, if you use your weekends to escape everything all the time, then it's just like a cycle where you're like, oh
Yeah.
my God. So that's why I try and do something during the week every day, really. I try to that I enjoy. But yeah, designing your life as you said, so that it works for you.
That's pretty impressive. You doing all that when you're obviously so busy with clients and whatnot. I appreciate. I don't want to keep you too long, so I've got another say two or three questions quickly.
Perfect.
Um, so what does a healthy relationship with work actually look like to you?
Yeah, good question. I suppose it's helpful to give context of the horse industry where, long hours and working really hard are just like a given. I think the industry needs to change slightly to be a little bit more respectful of people having a life as well as their jobs. But for example, 6 days a week is pretty much across the board. It wouldn't have been uncommon for me to get up at 3 a.m. on a Saturday morning to go to the yard to drive with the horses 3 hours across the country to work all day to come back at 11 to then get up the next day at 6:30 to be at the yard at 7. So that kind of relentlessness is almost ingrained in me, and like sick days, no such thing, unless you're crawling or in the hospital, people would expect you to show up to work. So I'm sort of trying to unlearn those patterns that have been ingrained into me. But I'm still working on finding the balance. I think for me, like I said, I need those things for myself in terms of the gym, having that time to hike or be outdoors or time with friends. I think I've gotten better at reading my own body, being like, okay, I'm really pushing the limit here in terms of what I'm doing. But I think it's important when you work with clients to be able to show up and give them the right energy. So I'm very conscious of that. And my clients, I want to make sure all of them are like, I'm really happy with the service that she's provided and the support that I've received. So if I feel as though I'm slipping in any way there, I know that I need to do something, change something, whether that's, reducing the number of clients I take on, or taking some time for myself so that I am rested. I try and scatter a few like weekends where I might be away, or just getting away from, home and your usual routine just to keep myself fresh. But yeah, it's a work in progress. I think because I coach like a good few evenings a week now, I would have clients in the UK and Ireland. Then my clients in Australia are all morning times. They might be 7, 8, or 9 a.m. Getting better now at being like, okay, that's enough clients for that week, or probably three back to back is the max that I can do. After that, I'm like, you actually can't manage that. You start to be like a battery that's running out. Um, so yeah, I think it's always a work in progress, but
You want to you
learning.
want you want to practice what you preach, though. You don't want to burn yourself out with what you're doing.
Yeah, yeah, exactly, exactly. So yeah, I love to work hard, and when you're passionate about work, it's kind of easy to, but at the same time, you want to make sure that you don't. I obviously practice a lot of breath work, which is really handy for me to be able to check in with how I'm feeling, and I try to make sure I have like some weekends I'm like I just want to have a day where I'm on my own. I don't speak to anyone, and I just have that time to recover. And in those days, I'm able to be like, right, how am I feeling? And as well, I'm very organized in terms of like on a Friday, I'll plan my week coming, the next one. So I'm like, okay, I've got a really heavy week coming up. The weekend needs to be a little bit lighter in terms of maybe not seeing as many people. And I think that helps as well.
Brilliant, brilliant. Aoife, thank you. It's been a pleasure to
Oh,
have you on the
yeah,
podcast.
lovely to
Do
chat.
you want to take a moment to tell listeners how they can get in touch with you, what you've got coming on in 2026, that kind of thing?
Yeah, so I'm on Instagram. I'm pretty active there. So it's at Aoife Leggett Coach. That's my handle. Aoife is an Irish name. It always trips up my international clients.
I won't lie. I won't
Aoife.
lie. I had to look it up when you emailed me.
Okay. Good. Yeah, yeah. It's good in one way. It's conversation started. But yeah, so at Aoife Leggett Coach. My website is 360 Coaching, all written out. And then my email is aoife at 360coaching.ie. Yeah, for this year I've got a bit of corporate work coming up. I have a lot of one-to-one clients that I'm working with. I've got a breathwork event next month. Um, so yeah, if anyone ever, I always say to people, reach out and have a chat. I've been amazed in terms of, people that I've reached out to just because I admired their work, have been so great in terms of giving back their time. Like there's a girl called Poppy who works in a similar industry, or she does work in the same industry in me in Ireland. And I reached out to her maybe 2 years ago for just see if she'd meet me for a coffee. She was like, look, I have a young child. I can't, but I'll meet you on Zoom. And we had a great meeting, and she gave me a lot of really amazing advice. And
Ah,
now actually
wonderful.
she's on maternity leave now. So she's sent me clients, she sent me like job opportunities. So I always think like if you have an idea in your head or you want to reach out to somebody, just do it. As you said, action. The worst they can say is no, but if you don't ask them, you'll never know. So yeah, if anyone has any questions or wants to chat or hear more about my story, or if they're at a crossroads, always happy to help people if I can.
Fantastic, fantastic. And I'll also when I upload this episode put um, contact details in the notes section as well, so
Super.
people can find it
Yeah.
that way.
Yeah, I've got loads of free resources actually on my website and that some people find helpful as well. So they might want to go and have a look at them if they're feeling as though they need a little bit of support.
Perfect, perfect. Thank you again, Aoife.
No bother. Thanks so much, Luke.